Warthog. I mean, it's a unique experience that's non-existent in Halo's first-person peers. It's the thing that kept me popping Halo CE all the way through Halo Reach in my Xbox over any other game. See, the cool thing about the Warthog is that it redefines and enriches things like the weapon balance and utility, the objective play, teamwork, all these things. It just kind of changes it when it shows up. So here's the thing, at its core, the Warthog experience is pretty simple. Cooperation, that's it. But I think that the important thing here is that it doesn't just have cooperative elements as part of its design, with the option to choose to be a lone wolf. Really, the only way to be effective in the Warthog is cooperation. Let's take Slayer, for example. A team can work together cooperatively and improve their outcomes, sure, but it's not really required. 4 independent Spartans can still be successful without much cooperation beyond what naturally emerges from their common goal of slaying. But with the Warthog, cooperation isn't an optional feature. It's fundamental. The responsibilities of a player on foot are separated out among 3 Spartans, primarily with the driver controlling mobility, the gunner attacks, and the passenger objective play. And only when there is cooperation are the parts whole. You remove cooperation, and the Warthog is either a slow mongoose, like a mounted turret, or an immobilizer, or something. And none of these things really grant you an advantage in the Halo sandbox. Now, with cooperation, everything changes. I mean, the plasma pistol, right? It becomes a critical power weapon at that point. Capturing the flag, that objective is secondary to taking down the Warthog, and cooperative solutions have to happen in order to achieve that goal. Overall, things just tend to get a lot more interesting when the Warthog is on the map. Let's take a look at what the Warthog creates for those people that actually get inside the thing. I'm going to break down the experiences into 3 categories: the driver, the gunner, and the passenger. And we'll kind of discuss how they interweave and reinforce each other. So first, let's talk a little bit about the driver. Now, the mechanics are simple enough, right? Look somewhere, push forward, and off you go in that direction. Easy. But like all good things, there's plenty of room for mastery. As the driver, you are the one that controls your gunner's line of sight. Whether or not your gunner can finish a kill is 100% dependent on if you're giving them the angle or not. Now this gets really intriguing and introduces an opportunity for a bit of skill when paired with the simple driving mechanics. This is because the way that driving functions in Halo means that as the driver, you're not typically looking where your gunner is shooting. And that's pretty awesome, because you just kind of have to feel it out and synchronize with your gunner until you see that wheelman medal pop, and then you know the job's done. And here's another nice little design bit, the way the camera's set up, because it allows you to always see your crew, which enables you to manage their shields and let that information inform your actions. You're directly responsible for managing the enemy's line of sight on them, so you always have to keep an eye out. The driver also has the opportunity to develop a skill in dynamic threat management. For example, this is the spawn location of the rockets on this map. As the driver, we can practice heightened awareness in these areas to survive. Here, the driver sees what they think are the rockets. They flip it in reverse to stop their momentum. And then the Spartan misses their shot because of that juke. You can also tune into the visual and audio indicators of imminent danger. You know what I'm talking about. The shine of the Spartan laser, the sound of the charging plasma pistol, even the silhouette of a Spartan holding a rocket launcher on his shoulder. They're all indicators that allow you to react. And awareness of these indicators enables opportunities to change outcomes, creating these dynamic engagements in a vehicle. And what other game gives you that? But here's the thing, it's not just the management of your crew. There are some offensive options as well. A well-placed collision with an enemy vehicle can turn the fight, creating a great risk versus reward situation. Another thing you can do is push in for a splatter or knock off some shields for your gunner to clean up. But here's the key. All the driver's offensive abilities are tied to their primary job, which is driving. In most modern games, you're going to find something along the lines of the Mantis or the Scorpion, where both the driving and the shooting are done by the same player. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's just something missing there, right? There's no distinction between the roles, no need for cooperation. But with the Warthog, the primary offensive crew member is the gunner, and the gunner's role is distinct. And one of the more unique mechanics that I think comes out of the gunner position is the fact that you have to yield your mobility to another teammate. As a gunner, if you don't have good communication with your driver, you can end up in a fight that you just weren't prepared for, or the whole hog can get blown up by a rocket launcher that you saw that the driver didn't. Realistically, offense becomes the only direct way for a gunner to control their vulnerability, but indirectly, they can act as a second pair of eyes for the driver. You can scan their blind spot and communicate relevant information to them. And given enough time, a Warthog crew can develop an understanding of one another and begin making predictions about their movement and the time to kill more accurately. And this is really cool. I mean, you start to think as two pieces of a whole. And where else do you get that experience? And apart from reading their driver, the gunner also has many dynamic factors to manage in their engagements. You have a split second to assess a situation when the driver brings you flying around a corner. You have to determine who the primary threat is and take them down first and fast. For as much as the driver is responsible for the life of the vehicle and its occupants, the same is true for the gunner. So you have to calculate. Who's facing you? Are there any power weapons? Are there other vehicles around? These are the types of questions the gunner has to answer immediately, all the while anticipating what direction their driver's going to take next. A good call can lead to a triple kill. A bad one to a double kill for 3 shieldless enemies. And something really interesting happens when 2 Warthogs have a showdown in Halo. You see, the thing is, the Warthog has a sort of headshot weakness point, depending on the situation. That is, a particular spot a skilled gunner can aim for to turn the tide in their favor during an engagement. Think about it. It takes a while to blow up a Warthog aiming for the center of mass, right? But if you have the angle and the skill, you can rip through a Spartan as if he was standing out in the middle of a field. You can do something like focus on picking out the driver or the flag carrier to stop their momentum. And if you're at a disadvantage, aiming for the small crest of the enemy gunner's head, right between the turret deflection plates, can bring you back from the brink of defeat while leaving the enemy hog defenseless. But I mean, sometimes in the end, blowing up the Warthog for a triple kill is really the only option. So that brings us to the passenger seat. And this is what turns the Warthog from simply a power weapon to a playmaker. For me, the passenger seat has created some of the most engaging moments in objective games. It has the ability to turn the tide of a battle in the final moments in incredible ways. You have to know that soul-crushing feeling as you watch your flag drive off into the distance. And also the heart-pounding excitement of loading up the Warthog for a final Hail Mary assault on the enemy base. These are the experiences of big team battle. And another cool thing about the passenger seat is that its utility scales with the weapon that its occupant holds. If they're packing something like the battle rifle, it can make a difference in a fight. But you put a rocket launcher, or even better, a gravity hammer in their hands, and you may have a more effective killer than your gunner. And on top of that, one of the coolest things added into Halo 5 was the ability to switch the seats in the vehicle, which serves as an escape option for the gunner and the driver if things get a little too hot. Okay, now, not everyone is going to get a Warthog, right? So how does it enrich the gameplay for Spartans? Well, first off, there's a new level of teamwork that manifests in order to combat the Warthog. You see, it takes a team to operate a Warthog, and it also takes a team to take one down. This influence creates exciting ways for a team to cooperatively take down a highly dangerous and mobile objective. As we mentioned earlier, weapon utility on the map is redefined. A weapon like the plasma pistol gets a whole new purpose and function. Where before it might have been a cute way to take someone's shield off, now it's your team's only hope to end the Warthog's dominance. There's also an aspect of managing when you notify the Warthog of your power weapon. We've all played the dangerous game where we're hanging out with a Spartan laser, charging it behind a rock, waiting to pop out at the last second, but sometimes you end up just blowing yourself up. And another cool thing about the Warthog is the way that it affects maps. They dynamically change when the Warthog shows up. The flow of people around the map adjusts to the avenues that are now higher risk due to them being accessible to the Warthog, and lower risk to the ones that are inaccessible. And then, in an instant, when the Warthog gets destroyed, those avenues shift again, opening up new movement opportunities for Spartans. And then, with the addition of hijacking vehicles, an awesome dynamic for Spartans was introduced. It is a very high-risk maneuver. One wrong move, and you're either going to be standing out in the wide open for the gunner to mow you down, or you're going to end up in the Warthog's grill. However, the payoff is incredible. This is because it doesn't destroy the vehicle. It simply turns one team's asset into the other team's asset. It's incredible. And one last thing I want to cover about this is that it becomes a powerful focal point. When a Warthog is running well in a Slayer match, it essentially pulls enough attention for it to become an objective, which can really help focus a match when you're playing on a larger map. You know, I really miss that experience. I haven't really felt it since Halo Reach, to be honest, but I haven't given up hope. In the next episode, we're going to break down Big Team Battle and the Warthog inside of Halo 5, and try to determine what worked and what went wrong in its design. Hopefully that can inform us on what Halo Infinite could potentially hold for us in terms of Big Team Battle. So I'm curious, what's your favorite aspect of Big Team Battle? How do you feel about the Warthog? I mean, you already know how I feel. Also, what's your favorite cooperatively designed game? For me, I really dig Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. It's essentially a giant warthog, right? So drop your comments down below, and if you're enjoying the series so far and want to get updates on when the new episodes come out, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. Oh, and one last thing. The Falcon was literally an air warthog, and it is insane to me that it hasn't been in every Halo since Reach. And I can tell you this, Fullhammer agrees. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thank you.